Hey everybody, all the good people of the world. My name is Crys'Dawna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We are working on this today and it's going to be a colorful makeover. So if you guys want to see that, stay here. I'm going to clean this piece with sugar soap. This is just a run-of-your-mill cleaner, and so I'm going to use this. It's concentrated. I'm going to put it in some warm water, and I am going to scrub it down with a microfiber cloth, and then I'll go over it with some clean water just to get the residue off before I go over this with a base coat of Country Chic's Whoop-De-Doo. So what I did is I laid down 2 coats of Country Chic's Whoop-De-Doo, which is a bright teal color. So that way I had a base coat for this piece before we go in and start layering. Here's where the fun starts. So we have 2 layers of Whoop-De-Doo that are going to be dry here in a second. And what I did is I sprayed it with a mister bottle and I did a light coat of Persimmon, which is an orange color. You can see that I'm not doing a complete coverage coat. I'm just kind of doing almost like a wash. So I'm going to spray it and just spread it on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sanding sponge, which is probably a 320 grit. And while this is still wet, I'm going to go over that persimmon with a sanding sponge to pull things back. So at the end of this, what this is going to do is it's going to create some texture and it's going to create layers by me doing this with that paint. So I'm just going to pull it back so that way it looks a little bit different. After I did a layer of persimmon, I did a layer of cranberry and I lightly went over it. As you can see here, I didn't do full coverage on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of blend it in some areas so that that cranberry and persimmon mix together. Then I'm going to take my sanding pad and I'm going to pull again over top of the cranberry so that I can expose some of that Whoop-De-Doo underneath. And then we have what it looks like as layers and texture. I'm going to take the Whoop-De-Doo and I'm going to lightly go over the areas just to add another layer of dimension. I'm not going to put as much paint as I did with the other 2, but I'm just going to create some areas where there's pockets more of that Whoop-De-Doo that go in with the red and the orange. I had a thought and I took my Arteza chalk markers because I wanted to take the colors, this orange, which is tangerine, and then this green, which is an aqua green, and then the yellow, which is a mid yellow, and I wanted to put them in the cracks and crevices. So I just took one of my pointy brushes so that way I can rub in the chalk marker. And what I did is I put the tips, so there's different tips that come with these, and I changed them to the chiseled wedge so that I could get into the cracks and crevices. And what I did is I marked on it, and then I took my brush and I rubbed it in, and this allowed me to add character in all the cracks and crevices. That's why I rub it in with the brush, so that it melds everything together. And this is obviously going to need to be sealed. I'm going to seal this entire thing, so that's going to seal these chalk markers in as well. One of the last steps I took to create a little bit more dimension and maybe pull back some layers is I took my 3x4 electric ray and I have a 1/2 inch super fine pad on here. So you're going to want to use something that's probably a 400 grit or above. And this just lightly goes over everything. So what this is going to do is it's going to smooth my finish and get it ready, but it's also going to distress it just a little bit, and it's also going to expose any of the layers that wanted to pull through that I wasn't able to pull through. I made sure I wiped my surface down of any excess dust with a microfiber cloth, and I'm going to use one of the new sized midi transfers by Redesign with Prima, and this one is called Woven with Love. I just got kind of a Southwest vibe from this, and I felt like this transfer was perfect. It's the perfect size to do those little fronts of the doors and the insets on the drawers. And so what I'm doing right now is I am creasing that transfer around the edge that I want that on there, and I'm using the burnishing stick that comes with it to create a crease. And this is going to allow me to easily know where to cut this, so that way I have the perfect trim. So you can see right here there is an indent, and now I know exactly where to cut it with my scissors. And we're going to test it, and it is perfect. So I'm going to pull it away from the protective backing. This transfer in particular, you will see all the colors behind it. So it's a clear background. It's a white design, but it's on a clear background. So you're still going to be able to see all the colors that I have put on this piece. And I'm going to carefully lay it down, and I'm going to rub it on with my hand to make sure that it sticks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the burnishing stick that came with it, and I'm going to carefully rub it also known as burnishing. And what this is doing is this is actually transferring this transfer to the piece, and you're going to carefully lift up on the corner, and while you are burnishing, you're going to lift up on it. If for some reason the transfer pulls up with that plastic covering, just set it back down and rub it a little bit harder and it will transfer over. This is a separate design, so it's going to take a little bit more patience because each individual piece of this transfer is separate, but it does go on really nicely, and just be patient. It does need to be sealed as well. I've said this before, it doesn't matter what kind of paint you are using. It doesn't matter if it's an all-in-one paint. Your transfers always need to be sealed, whether it be with wax or a water-based polyacrylic. Once my entire design has been transferred over, I take a microfiber cloth and I burnish it even more. So a lot of people ask, how do I get rid of the halo of a transfer? The key is to make sure it's burnished really well, and then you burnish it really well with a microfiber cloth, and then you seal it. And that is going to minimize the halo that sometimes you can see around transfers. I also wanted this transfer to have a worn look, so I took a 220 grit sandpaper and I'm just lightly going over it. So that way I can distress this a little bit, and that way it doesn't look super brand new, and it kind of goes with the old worn Southwest feel of this piece. I sealed everything in with Country Chic's Tough Coat. And so even though Country Chic is an all-in-one paint, I still sealed it in because you can see how it richens the color once you put a top coat on it. And again, remember I said that the transfer needs to be sealed no matter what kind of paint you put it on. All right, everybody, here is the piece. It is done. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned a little bit about layering and how to make a colorful finish. You can do this with any kind of chalk type paint, a clay paint, a chalk paint, whatever your favorite is. I will put everything I used in the description below, so that way you guys can go over there and grab it if you want to. And until next time, guys, I'm gonna have some staged photos after this. So if you want to see it up close and personal, stay on here. And until then, I will see you guys later. Happy creating and have an amazing week. Bye.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty.